Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube, and welcome to another Wednesday review. And today's review is, well, me following up on last week's Wednesday review, which was me obviously taking the request from Paul of Doomsday Today Records on basically reviewing all the stuff at least that he had sent me in that promo package. And again, last week's was the debut album from Dragg, and since again it's here following with their second album, and also it was their last one. It is, well, titled Over the Horizon, which was originally released all the way on August 24th of 2015. Of course, independently. Through again their Bandcamp page and whatnot, maybe even live shows. So that's where we're at. Again, following up on the again last week's review. So again, I don't want to really add in any more fillers. So without further ado, let me get into my review of the final album from Dragg, Over the Horizon. Let's get into it, shall we? So I can fulfill the request. Okay, so before we really get into any of my overall thoughts on this particular release, you know what I have to do. I have to do a track listing rundown so I can tell you folks what are the songs on this album, how many songs are on this album, and what is the time length for this album. And since we have at least about 6 songs here, it all clocks in at 41 minutes and 7 seconds. So these 6 songs are beginning with Solifugid, Anua Rising, Cosmic Burial, Beyond Clear Light, Warning, Blood Moon, and then finally ending with Moonray Collector. I had a trouble there. Alright, so there it is. There's your 6 songs. So, if you had watched or listened to my thoughts, my review for the debut album, I basically, the best way I put it is that while the debut album was definitely a solid, very stoner, sort of sludgy, doom metal kind of album, for the most part, I did say that it kind of felt very repetitive in most of the songs. Like there's barely a lot of like time to, very tempo changes or whatnot within the songs, especially for how long that they are. It seemed to really plod along and didn't really add nothing, even though it was a very good showcase of what they were capable of. But it didn't seem like it didn't really make me all that excited to probably get into the second album. I was kind of interested and intrigued a little, but at the same time, it almost made me feel like, is the second album just going to be the same thing in a way? Even though I love my AC/DC kind of albums, but that's a whole different kind of style or different sort of concept in a way. I mean, there is a formula, but at the same time, I don't want to kind of make it about one other band. But I'm just trying to use examples to kind of get just as much of my point around, just across to you guys. So I didn't know if they were gonna just do basically the same sort of formula and pacing for the follow-up album here, and again, their last album, Over the Horizon. However, after listening to this album, I can just tell you this, is that this is an improvement. This was an improvement over the debut self-titled release, because, man, did they work on at least the whole, the writing and the construction and the overall feel of the album. They really, it expands on what they were kind of doing with the first album, but if anything, they improved on it. My God, is this an improvement? And again, I'm just going to come out and just say, I kind of wish that this wasn't their final album, because if you can tell that after this album, they were improving much and much on the whole writing and the whole stuff. They really were improving on this album. But it's too bad that they quit after this album. Because again, even though to say that this is a good final album, I think is a stretch. Because I felt like they had more to offer after this one. I mean, I know you're going to say, well, it's stoner rock or / stoner metal or doom, or sludgy, whatever. it's like you can't really do much with the genre, I guess whatever say. It's like usually at times it can be a one-trick pony. But listen to this, they had something. Again, the concept they were kind of, the overall idea that they were getting around on their first album was basically they were combining a little bit more very spacey or more psychedelic kind of influences and this sort of a more of a almost sludgy stoner rock / metal, doom metal kind of sound. They were kind of mixing in some of those stuff, those ideas into the stuff, and here it's just way more realized. You get even more of this sort of almost spacey sort of effects and atmosphere on this one, but a lot of it also what they really improved on is already on the already kind of their existing sort of very sludgy. And this album comes off more sludgier and more at times more doomier than the previous album, but my god, is there's more oomph to this album. I mean, just from the opening song, Sulafujit, which again, you kind of get a little bit of the sort of spacey effect when it comes into the actual song. It kicks ass. There is some tempo changes, some different riffs here and there. Everything is just worked upon. And of course, it does. Again, the mixing and the production here, probably less garagey sounding. It still is very rough sounding, very raw, but it adds to the overall, it adds to the charm of what they're going for this one. And it really kind of, it brings the music out, is what I'm kind of getting at here. What I'm trying to go with. It's like, it really brings something out. And wow, is this a fucking great opener. And then it doesn't let up. You go into the second track, Annual Rising, which already you can tell it's a more, the atmosphere is even more changed up. And again, they're also using the very spacey interludes to go into at least the songs, which gives a very progressive vibe, but it works. My god, it's like this is definitely more realized, very sludgy stoner metal, but it's just good, very spacey, sludgy stoner metal. This is good shit. Almost at times reminds me a little bit of how Duel ended up really improving on their second album, Witchbanger. It's like it's the same effect almost. It's the same feel. It's a lot more heavier, more ballsy. Literally everything comes off like they just have more gusto on this one, and it's not really the same tempo throughout the for the rest of the songs. They all got their own unique identity, and it works. And again, Annual Rising does a great fucking atmosphere going on there. And then of course you get into the next track, Cosmic Burial, which this one really kind of pushes more faster tempos, more emphasis on the double bass and more the double kick drum, basically. Almost like Into the Void style tempos, basically. Again, you get that almost Black Sabbath kind of stuff going, but more sludgier though at times. But it's very much apparent with the song like Cosmic Burial, which really kicks more the gear into this track, and it's another sort of great banger. But this one ends very interesting too with the spoken, very kind of clip. It could be from like a movie or a show or whatnot. I don't know where they took this clip from, but it really gets more of the idea around of what they were going for with their identity and with their sound. It just comes off more spacier and psychedelic and more just really out there, which I guess kind of adds to the idea of stoner, basically. But it's just done in a way that I guess you can say this is almost like cosmic stoner metal. Cosmic sludgy stoner metal is what I'm kind of, I guess would be the genre that actually coined for this album. And again, it is very much apparent at the end of Cosmic Burial, and when it goes into the longest song on the album, that being Beyond Clear Light, which is a whooping fucking 10-minute, 19-second epic. And for the most part of the 3 or 2 minutes on this track, it's just nothing but spacey and very cold, spacey effects, and it creates a very outer atmosphere. And when it goes in the song, it's very slow, dirgy, and it works because of it actually almost gives you almost a very kind of claustrophobic kind of feel, like you might be in outer space, stuck there, with probably with one fucking oxygen tank or whatever you got on, your fucking suit on, and you're like stuck floating in the atmosphere. No ship, no nothing. That's all you are, stuck in outer space, floating, and with no way to fucking move, nothing. That's the way I feel that a track like Beyond Clear Light kind of paints with basic paints with the overall feel of the track and the atmosphere that it's setting. It's very claustrophobic because of how slow the song is, but again, it works. That's the way. That's my overall take when I'm actually listening to this track, especially if you got your eyes closed a little bit. It really tends to paint a really claustrophobic atmosphere, and it's just so interesting, and it works. And from there on, it ends with two other really strong songs. Again, sort of very spacey, very progressive, psychedelic kind of numbers in a way, with more phaser guitar effects and still great tempos. My God, there's really just not a bad song. I almost love everything on here. That's actually what I wrote here for my highlights from my notes. Again, under the titles here, I just have, again, where highlights are written. And what I have written under it is, well, everything. That's basically the highlights for the entire album. It's everything. I just really can't pick anything. You really have to listen to this album as one full album instead of just picking out songs, because it just works better and one full listen instead of just picking out each song to listen to, because it all paints a one sort of minute feel. It's like it almost feels like one track, but at the same time not like compared to the previous album, the debut. It doesn't feel like that. Instead, it just has its own feel, even though each track kind of has its own unique pacing and its own unique mystique to them and flavor. But just as a whole, because of the overall the interludes and everything, it feels like one full track, one long progressive track. So that's the way it comes like, almost like, again, like the Necromancer from Rush, almost, you know, that kind of feel. Anything off of the last stuff of Caress of Steel or 2112, kind of like that kind of feel, but instead of having each song basically being one long song, it's all separated into at least 6 tracks basically, and that's the overall feel. It's just really cool, and it's great, and it gives the album its overall unique mystique and atmosphere is what I'm getting at. I know I'm kind of stuttering there a little bit because I'm just coming up with words off the top of my head. So that's where I'm at here. It's just a very solid album. And again, the vocals here again from what's his name here? God damn it! It's our actually, you know, it's on the back again. I forgot. Brian, I think. Brandon Blair, I think, is his name. I know, a little fuck up there. You know, I'll apologize for that. Again, I think his vocals are more shoutier and again more closer to almost the vocal style than in his previous band, Soul Blula. It's a little more closer to that, but yet it still comes off more stoner-like, and I still like it. So that's all I can say here. This is just a fucking improvement over the debut album. This is probably their best album, but they ended on this one, and it's a shame. They should have gone more forward. So there we go. There it is, folks. My overall thoughts on Over the Horizon from, Dragg. And I almost was very tempted on giving this a rating, but since this is a very older album, I decided, just like I did with the previous album for my review of it, I didn't give that one a rating, and I'm not going to give this one a rating. Instead, again, I'm just hyping this one up. If you're into, again, the old concept of very cosmic stoner metal or stoner rock, that kind of genre, if you like what you kind of are being pitched at, again, I'm leaving you a link to their Bandcamp page where it's still active. They are still selling copies of this album for at least $8 for the CD. And of course, maybe let me look on Bandcamp here, and $6 for digital. They're still selling it. It's still active. You can listen to the songs on there. If it sounds like something you'd be interested in, support this band, support it, definitely buy this album, even if they're no longer active. Just support them. It's a good album. So there we go. Hope all of you enjoyed, and thank you for Paul for sending this out my way. And hopefully the guys from Dragg actually like these reviews, because again, I've been very positive, and I definitely enjoy the fuck out of this one. So there we go. Hope all of you enjoyed. This is Henry Thrasher saying I'm out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.